with restaking and on the digital technology stack as well.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Let me stop my share screen. Hello,
How's it going?
everyone. We got like Lucas and Ivan here. Yeah. Hello, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us. Excited to kind of brainstorm some ideas with people. We have a few that are written down, and then um, maybe you'll come up with some other ideas that we could talk about too. So, where do you want to start? Should we just start kind of going through some ideas?
Yeah, yeah. But maybe I get that we have a lot of people maybe they join the space for the first time. So Lucas or Ivan, one thing is like maybe can you introduce yourself? Actually, I follow your Twitter for a long time. I know the Buffalo and I know the Twitter, but I don't know about you. So maybe can we spend like 1 to 2 minutes talk about you, talk about Zito, and then we talk about the grid, and then you can go to the idea.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll introduce myself, and then Evan can introduce himself as well. Um, yeah, I'm a co-founder and CEO of Jito Labs. Um, yeah, I've been in crypto for a while. Discovered in 2017, kind of towards the end of that 2017 cycle, and just kind of fell down the rabbit hole. Um, really, like, kind of stayed with it until 2020, mainly from like the investing standpoint, until I discovered MEV. And there's a really cool article called "The Dark Forest," written by Dan Robinson at Paradigm, and it goes over basically how there's all these bots in the Ethereum mempool that are kind of just like waiting and watching for opportunities to make money, and they're like extremely advanced, and that's just kind of like really piqued my interest. So yeah, basically fell down the Mev rabbit hole and haven't really come out since. And yeah, my co-founders Anna and I started Jito in August of 2021, and yeah, we've uh, made a lot of moves since then and build MEV infrastructure and liquid staking and restaking. And Evan was one of the first engineers at Jito, joined pretty early in 2022.
So yeah, I can go. Yeah, nice to meet you. Great to be on the call. So yeah, Jito is like my first actual job and first really like dive into crypto, but have been here like almost 3 years now. So ramped up pretty fast and started building a ton of cool stuff. Um, yeah, I found Solana just it was kind of just around the 2021 bull run. It was just super interesting to me, like how fast it was, everything written in Rust. I wanted to learn Rust, and eventually found my way to MEV and Jito, and just got like super nerd sniped, and also fell down the rabbit hole. Um, but since then, just been like grinding at Jito, built a ton of cool stuff, like helped launch Jito Soul, built out StakeNet with all of these like on-chain programs to put validator data on chain and move a ton of stake around, and then now getting into restaking, helping bring our first NCN live tip router, and yeah, excited to talk about all that stuff and get other people building on it.
Yeah, great stuff. I might ask you guys a question because I several people already asked me like, what is the limitation for people to build on Jito? Because the last workshop we talked about Jito restaking. Should we only build on the restaking, or we can build like on everything on Jito? Can you answer that?
Yeah, I think it
Just
can be pretty much anything in the stack. I think there's a ton of different ideas we have for restaking, but we have some ideas for things around StakeNet or for JitoSol as well. Um, but yeah, I guess the thing to say is that the number of like applications and like there's a lot more stuff you can do around restaking, but there's tons of interesting stuff around the whole Jito stack.
Yeah, great, great. So there's no limit, right? You can build on restaking, you can build on other things. So let's dive into it. Today we will talk about what we can build on Jito. So Do you guys want to share the screen, share the amazing doc that you have? I already have a pick on that, but maybe other audience want to see us as well. And now we can talk about like what is the idea that we should be on Jito. Yeah,
Cool.
Lucas
That
or
works.
Evan? Yeah.
You want me to share my screen with the use cases doc?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Cool.
that
Yeah.
the main part today. Yeah.
Here. Okay. Zoom in a little bit. Cool. Can you read that pretty well?
Yes, I can.
Cool. So
Uh,
yeah, where do you want to start?
yeah, I mean like before we start, I want to inform the audience that if you want to post out any question, just give it just text it in the chat, and then like text me, and then maybe we might like invite you to the I mean like we will have like your question to the speaker as well, so we can get started. Yeah. So so what is the structure of the file before we go into like each of the idea? So what is the structure like from like overview viewpoint of this file? What is like high level view? Lucas?
Yeah. This is just like a few ideas that we came up with that people could implement as node consensus networks. There's a few other ideas in here as well. Yeah, like stuff from clockwork to stuff that we've been kind of brainstorming for a while, but just don't have like the capacity to do it. And so, yeah, I guess walking through first kind of interesting one would be clockwork and kind of bringing back clockwork. For those that don't know clockwork, clockwork was envisioned as like an on-chain cron job, and a cron job is it's just like something that runs periodically on like a system. And so you can say like every 5 minutes I want this to happen, or every like week, or every other Monday, and like you can get pretty like flexible with it. So yeah, like this would basically bring back clockwork. You could also do like some state trigger kind of like these jobs based on some state change on Solana. So like every like thousandth block, I want this thing to run, or at the beginning of every epoch, I want something to run. I guess is like an idea for you. Yeah, one thing, for instance, like every stake pool in Solana needs to be cranked at the beginning of every epoch, and it's just to like update some internal data structures. It's the same with Jito restaking. There's some stuff that needs to run at the beginning of every epoch once the Solana epoch rolls over. There's like DeFi positions that need to be managed and kind of moved around. And this would basically be a network that you can, you have a bunch of nodes that are kind of working together to look at this like job queue and crank the basically send these transactions. And yeah, the way that you can use restaking here is that you don't just want like one node doing this, because if they like run out of funds, or the computer like dies or something, then that the whole thing would kind of stop working. So you want multiple nodes doing this and kind of coordinating on it together. But if you envision this network getting to like thousands of nodes, you don't want every node sending a transaction to crank everything, because it's going to be like 1,000 transactions where like one node sends a transaction for everything. So you kind of need to like have some coordination between the different nodes, and then you want to make sure that like they're checking each other's work. So maybe you have like a leader schedule, similar to Solana has a leader schedule, and you can basically like make sure that the nodes in the network are doing the work at the right time, and you're kind of checking them. So like if a node does the work at the right time, it gets rewarded. and then if a node like misses its slot to do work, where it was supposed to do work, then perhaps they don't get rewards or they get slashed or something like that.
Yeah, just to add to that one, there's so many applications I've worked on that need some like regular transaction scheduling, and it's such a headache as a developer to have to just write your own client that like you hope that it's going to work forever, but then you have to solve some of the problems that this solves for you, like run it on multiple nodes, make sure they all have funds, make sure you're not double sending transactions or spending too much. So if there's something like this, it would be used by a ton of developers, I'm sure.
Yeah. So like just a small question. Like if we are building this, any kind of like node you have for developer, like what is the size of the job? Because I know that this adds some heavy stuff on the NCA network, right? So the task should be like small enough or something. Any note on that to make this like really feasible, like not only a proof of concept, but when in production, people happy to run it.
Sorry, what was the question there?
Oh no, my question is like that for stuff like clockwork, right? So we put
Yeah.
the task online and it run after a while. But any note for developer, like what is the task look like? Should it like how big it is?
Mm,
Because that a lot of people talk about like we can do AI things on blockchain and maybe like heavy tasks or something. But any note
yeah.
for you, is like what kind of things that you should put into this?
Yeah, they can be pretty simple things. And like, yeah. Um I haven't thought a lot. There is some of the clockwork code is open source. Unfortunately, they sunset the project. Um but there's a bunch of open source code out there. I think there was a way for people to like write tasks that don't require like a software update to get new tasks. So, yeah, I think there's kind of like a framework or ways that you can kind of look at the work that others have done in this area. I want to say it was like an on-chain program that would like build the instruction for you or something. Um, but yeah, they should be like pretty simple. Like for the stake pool, it's like how many instructions is there, Evan? Like
Yeah, there's like
20 or
three
something.
three unique instructions, and then it has to run across like 1,000 validators. So it's just submitting a bunch of instructions, but it's a small amount of like unique data that you'd have to store. But yeah, I think for the clockwork case, they let you like they're storing instructions in accounts on chain. So yeah, just whatever can fit in an account. I think most useful workflows would look like a couple of different transactions, a couple of different unique instructions, and then being able to order them and execute them at a specific time.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the next idea. You want to pick the Bitcoin, or like you can pick any idea that you think that interesting for the builder to see.
Yeah, I can touch on the this next one real quick. This one is a little bit more of a like long shot, but was thinking through the different like tools that exist within the Solana runtime that are a bit underutilized that could have an interesting application here. And one of them is this program that's it's like the KECAC, like KECCAK signature verification, which is the same like signature like cryptographic signature they use in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I was wondering if there's some sort of interesting like bridge you could build or like posting transactions from Bitcoin onto Solana, verifying them on chain, and then having some sort of like copy of the Bitcoin ledger, and then using something like these restaked operators that are you're guaranteeing that you're getting like transactions posted at some regular intervals. Um, yeah, I think there's a little bit more like thinking through to do to make that like a real application, but just want to get that like that primitive out there, that you can have a lot of interesting overlaps between Bitcoin transactions and Ethereum transactions, like on Solana, and then utilizing restaking to have some guarantees about what you can do.
Yeah, yes, that's very nice. So basically, so we can use it to build a bridge, as you say, but yeah, can like replay the Bitcoin transaction and Ethereum transaction. This is like not a lot of people use it, and any okay, can we go to the next, or Lucas, do you have any comment on this?
No, not that specifically, but there are a lot of interesting. Yeah, there's some interesting like runtime things that you can do that it would be cool to see people use more of. So yeah, I think this is like one of those things where like if you start digging through the Solana documentation, there's some interesting primitives in there that you can build cool shit with. Yeah, I'm gonna skip the Futarchy one. I'm not super. I'll ask someone what that one is, but this one we're like a little more familiar with. The geographic location by IP. We've been talking about something like this for like probably almost 2 years now about for StakeNet. And the idea here is that I think this would be a really fun project. And if I had more time, I would do it myself. But we're just like so busy. Um, Basically, build a service that lets you figure out where IP addresses are in the world without
Mm.
relying on a
Oh, we lost you, Lucas.
All right, maybe I can take this one over.
Yes.
But yeah, so the challenge is that IP is one of these like features that we get from validators, and we can verify what how validators like broadcast their IP. We have that on chain in StakeNet, but the challenge is going from IP to an actual location.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about like geographic distribution of stake as an interesting or like an important feature for the decentralization of blockchains. But there's a lot of also like other useful things if you can have a truly decentralized way to verify IP. The current systems are these things like MaxMind, which are basically just permissioned databases that people collect all of these like IP blocks from data centers or from all these different places. But now it looks like Lucas is back. If you want to explain the like triangulation piece, that could be a really cool.
Hey, I guess before I dive into that real quick, there seems to be like interest in this from multiple projects. Pipe Network is one of them. It's a decentralized content distribution network. They want to know like where their servers are in the world that are serving people data, so you can get good routing. And then I think 00 might have some interest in this as well for figuring out like where their entry and exit points are. I'm sure there's like a bunch of other people that we that might be interested in this that we like haven't even talked to yet. But yeah, there's like services like MaxMind and other ones that they'll like maintain like a manual ledger of where everything is, but when like there's like um companies like Google and all these other like internet companies are constantly moving IP address ranges around. Like they'll like move it from like Amsterdam to Tokyo, and then those databases are out of date. So yeah, there's one idea is kind of this like probe network where basically you can um, spin up a bunch of servers around the world, and then you ping IPs. People can like request a location for an IP, and then you have all these servers ping it, and then you can basically triangulate where the server is within some some accuracy. Um, and yeah, that would be pretty cool. Well, from like engineering standpoint, it just sounds like a really fun project. Um, there's like some edge cases that you have to be aware of. So like figuring out how those work could be interesting. This is something I think. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Um, yeah, if you right now if you go to like Jito.network/stakenet, I'll just pull it up actually. So yeah, this is StakeNet, and we basically have the validator locations here, and we're using the service called IP Info. IP Info runs a probe network similar to what we've discussed. So it's kind of combining the database, and then they have like thousands of servers around the world. So you can kind of see here. There's a blog post about it. We don't have to go through the whole thing, but you can kind of see like what's going on here.
Mm.
And basically, it'd be cool to build something like this using restaking. And basically, um, yeah, you can like kind of just spitballing here, but people can like request an IP address, a location for an IP address, and then you like pay some amount of money to get
Yeah.
the location, and then that gets distributed to the nodes that fulfill the request, and then you can basically have this like network of restaked operators that they all ping the IP, and then they try to figure out, they basically upload their information on chain or somewhere else in yeah, you could do something like um maybe the location is like a stake weighted average of uh like everyone's location estimation is like a stake weighted average of how much stake the operator has.
Yeah.
um and then yeah, maybe they get slashed if they like upload like a really bad location or something.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I actually see someone try to do something like this like 3 years ago. So they have like the second biggest or IoT device in Vietnam. They provide home server for people who have smart homes, and they want to use the smart home network of home server and do this kind of thing. I see the demo, but they struggle when they turn into like economics and how you secure the security of the network. And I see that we have a lot like nearly a lot the stream and a lot of engineers. So I think a lot of people maybe they already have that type of software running, but they don't have economic capability to do this kind of thing. And Zito StakeNet is perfect for this use case to move things forward.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
Okay.
there's probably at least 2 or 3 networks that would pay for this. And I mean, there's like already a bunch of servers in the world running like Solana validators. Like there's 1,000 Solana validators. So like you could just make something that they run that does this. So you don't have to like spin up your own servers and everything. So yeah, pretty interesting idea, I think.
Yeah, maybe you can build a better network to do like streaming when you have the like broadcasting. Like one person they do the broadcasting, and maybe can optimize the routing through this kind of network with Gito staking behind it. I
Yep.
think we talk a lot about like technical idea. Can you go through something that is like friendlier to like business people? I think that you have some in here.
Yeah, let's see here. Um, yeah, I mean, there's some like interesting storage ideas that you can do. Maybe more like a file coin, um, where you can store data and retrieve it. Um, the data is stored across a bunch of servers. Um, yeah, I think that one. I mean, Filecoin's like huge. There's a ton of data on it, so it'd be pretty useful, especially for ledger data. The Solana ledger is like it's huge. It's probably like
Like 300 terabytes.
Yeah, it's yeah, and I know the Solana Foundation has been. I think they're working on getting into Filecoin. I'm not sure on the status of that right now, but that's something that's um, pretty interesting. Yeah, what else? You got any other ideas, Evan?
Yeah. Someone in the chat was asking about the stake net for VRT's idea. I can go into that a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to scroll down just to the next page. So the basic idea of StakeNet is that we take the permissioned management of GDOSOL and then we turn into an on-chain program. And so what that means is you have this, the set of all Solana validators. We need to figure out what is a subset of that to add to the GDOSOL like stake pool. It's just the first one on the second page. Yeah, and so and then once you have your set of validators, then you need to continuously delegate stake to whatever stake distribution you want. As new stake comes in, a stake gets unstaked. Make sure that everything is well distributed to your validators. So it requires two components. You need high quality information on chain about what your validators, or in this case, node operators, how they're performing. And then on the other side, then you need logic to take in that information and then distribute your stake accordingly. So the restaking program and the vaults pretty nicely mirror like the stake program, or like validator vote accounts similar to operators. Vaults are similar to LSTs, and so it's a nice translation of like StakeNet can take in information about operators, that's verifiable information on chain, run some scoring to score all of the operators within like the Jito restaking network, and then take control of the vault authority and write some custom logic that can then delegate all of the stake. So yeah, it's a similar architecture to how the current StakeNet works with the steward program and validator history, and encourage you to check out those repos to see how those work, but then applying it to the restaking program. I think one challenge that we have now is just that there's not a ton of different types of like NCNs out right now to be able to verify or to validate how all these operators are doing. All the operators basically look the same, but an easy like first version of this is you just add all operators to your service, give them an even amount of stake, and then over time, as you get to like learn more about these operators, then you can make the algorithm more advanced. But yeah, the vault is similar to the stake pool.
Yeah, we got another question from Twitter. I will read it loud in here. Hey, I'm new to restaking. Quick question: is it like building an on-chain program on Solana L1, or more like creating standalone L2 state channel that settle transaction on Solana later? Well, what is the main benefit of restaking here?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So you can use restaking to build like an L2. And I'm not the best person to talk to about L2 architectures, but basically what you would do is you would build like your NCN on chain, and this could be like a bridge, like maybe you have a bridge to your L2. And so you are have some bridge logic similar to what we had for like the bridge example that Evan walked through earlier. And the bridge could be your NCN. And then maybe you have the L2 like checkpoint in with the L1. And yeah, basically like you could build L2 with it and then kind of have this like bridge logic that lives in the NCN. I don't know if you have anything else to add there, Evan.
Yeah, I guess I can talk a little bit how I think about restaking in terms of like, is it an on-chain program? Is it something off-chain? Um, so yeah, so the like kind of core components that you need to solve when you're building a new NCN. Um, there's how do you like incorporate some sort of verification or consensus to what your operators are doing. That's usually going to be something on chain where operators are posting some information on chain, and then some on chain logic can verify that. Um, so that's one piece. The like consensus. There's reward distribution. So if your operators are doing things correctly, um, you need to make sure that they're getting paid, that the vaults are getting paid. Otherwise, you're not going to get any operators running your network or any vaults delegating to those operators. And then there's the actual like client that your operators are running. So this is your core like off-chain logic. This is the thing that's maybe it's like the L2 sequencer, or it's this like probe ping IP thing, or it can take a ton of different shapes. But you can't just say, oh, operators do this and then they start doing it. You need to give them sort of a base client to kind of go off. This is like the Agave client or FireDancer. Like they're not going to write it from scratch. So those are sort of, I think, the main kind of components to build out. So some is going to be on chain on L1 Solana. Other pieces are going to be off chain, and yeah, I mean it's very configurable, like what you put on chain and off chain. I think as long as the vaults and operators are getting paid, they're happy. So
Yeah, that's great. I think maybe the best benefit is you kind of decouple a lot of things with digital restaking, and you do things faster. Let's go to the next idea in your list. I see the decentralized insurance protocol in here. Can you walk through that, or you want to pick the idea?
Yeah, let me read this one real quick. Okay, yeah. So this one, it's the idea for like some insurance protocol. And yeah, what you could do is basically you can have like people that they contribute like GeoSol or JTO or USDC or something else to these pools. And as a uh, for like contributing assets into those pools, you would get some of like the rewards from the protocols that you're insuring. And then, yeah, you're depositing like USDC as a restaker, and you're getting some rewards from the protocols that you're insuring, the vaults are insuring. And then basically, if there's like uh, exploit or a bug or something else that happens, then you can have these operators that all kind of agree on like, was this a hack or not? Should we pay out the people that should we basically take the assets from the insurance fund and use it to pay out the people that were impacted? So yeah, there's some like consensus here where like validators are kind of like maybe they look at on-chain data or something else to kind of figure out if the people should get paid out. There's like some consensus involved there. And yeah, you could use a variety of assets. So you could use Jito, Sol, USDC, anything to back the insurance policy. Let me see. Let me skim through this real quick.
I
I can talk
um
real quick.
I
Oh,
look
go ahead.
through the list of the submission, and I see several idea about DeFi. So anything like DeFi in here, you can share with other people, like yield optimization or something like that. Is there anything like that we can do with digital restaking?
Yield optimization. Hmm. Yeah, some of the stake net stuff Evan was talking about was kind of yield optimization. I'm thinking through like other how to do it with other protocols. It kind of goes back to like maybe it kind of goes back to like the clockwork idea where you have like an open source or like uh, basically there's like different protocols that might have different rates at different times, and you want funds to move from protocol to protocol, but you don't want to rely on like a centralized keeper to do this. So you kind of have them a network of operators that are kind of moving the funds together and agreeing on where they go. So I want to go from like Drift to Camino, and then like there's another protocol like maybe Margin Fi is better rates, and then you're moving some from Camino to Margin Fi. Um, Maybe you're like splitting it across all these different ones, so you're not like massively swinging the rates on them.
Yeah, like you're talking about like automation of Lulo, right? We have like Lulo when very few
Yeah,
epochs to change the stable coin to different protocol, and now you have like Lulo but decentralized. That's an interesting, very interesting idea.
yeah. Um, so yeah, that's one. You got anything else, Evan?
Yeah. There's another way to look at it is so like VRTs is a new yield bearing token that we're introducing for DeFi. So it's like each of these vaults has a new token that's similar to like a LST, but is also generating yield. So you can run a similar playbook with what a lot of the DeFi protocols have done with LSTs. Be able to borrow against them as your VRTs are earning yield, and then if you like really want to be degen and keep increasing your yield, you can do some sort of like looping strategy. um, I think as there's going to be a lot of different VRTs that come out that have different baskets of assets. So there's interesting like pricing things that you have to consider there, and and then also lots of different INSEANs that are going to be increasing the yield. So maybe the rates at which you borrow, and how much like you can additionally like loop those to increase yield. I think there's a lot of interesting DeFi structures you can do there. But yeah, it's all completely greenfield, and there's a ton of opportunities using VRTs as your core like DeFi asset.
Yeah. In the question list, in the submission list, I also see idea about like sandwich, resistant decks and launchpads, and okay, like risk management, DeFi things, DeFi risk monitoring, things like that. Do you think like Jito can do that kind of thing?
Or is was that in here or somewhere else?
Yeah. So I from the submission list, I see that someone asked like,
Oh,
can they do like sandwich resistant decks and launchpad using this mechanism in
hmm.
this stacking?
Yeah, I'm trying to think on like what is the um you'll notice like a lot of the examples we are doing, some there's like some like consensus, whether it's like quorum, like a quorum has to agree for something to happen, or there's like a bunch of different kind of people that are working together towards like some common goal. Trying to figure out like what that would be in this like launchpad idea. Um, yeah, nothing like I'll have to think about that. Nothing immediately comes to mind for like restaking, but I think like sandwich resistant AMMs and like launch pads that are more fair and that like run an auction are a very good idea. And we need to have more of those versus this like first come, first serve that we see a lot of these platforms have.
Yeah, it's cool. I think we can move to maybe Maybe we go move to like maybe two more idea, and then you guys can talk
Yeah.
about the low hanging fruit for digital technology, and then we can close the call. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go to one or two more idea.
Um, yeah, I think AI is obviously very hot right now. There's some interesting stuff you can do with AI. Um, there's like, let me see if I can find this. So, yeah, one idea is like you have like verifiable AI. So if you can have a way of like a network to agree if like a response from large language model is like actually from it and it was configured correctly and everything, that could be pretty interesting. Um, some like privacy preserving technology could also be cool. So yeah, you could look at running the uh, can either like run the AI model inside a trusted execution environment, or you could uh, basically just like send your request there, and it would have some level of like privacy associated with it. And then you could also like you could have a bunch of these things running. So if one of them goes out, then you can kind of fall back to another one. Um, Another one is yeah, this idea mentioned here where like you have this computation network and you have all these like GPUs that are contributing towards working on inference, or maybe you're trying to train a model, and you basically want the GPUs to have good uptime, and you want them to be like doing the work correctly. And so you're basically incentivizing the computation. Maybe you have like others like you have like one GPU answers and then the other like checks its results, or you have like a bunch of GPUs run the same question, like some subset of the total size, and then they all like check the results with each other. Um, and then like if any one of them's off, then maybe you like don't give them a reward or something. Um, yeah, there's a bunch of interesting stuff you could do there. Um, and yeah, the AI is like very hot right now. So I'm sure people can think of like some other interesting ideas on the AI side.
Yeah, yeah. Like for example, like AI, for me, like personally, I think it's AI is like a lot of hype, but rack database when you have like you normal AI, and then like you upload your knowledge, and then you have ability to like crawl through the knowledge and pull some useful information. This is like something we can do today, and it's very super useful. Yeah. So like, what is the next idea? I want it for like Evan. What is the next idea? And the last thing, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely want to touch on oracles because I think there's a lot of I think it's a really natural type of application for restaking, and there's a lot of it's a useful primitive for lots of different cases in DeFi. So yeah, so here we had mentioned like a cross-chain Oracle network earlier. We mentioned like a Futarchy specific one, but can just talk really quickly about like the basic idea of an Oracle or a decentralized Oracle is you have a number of different nodes who are um, each saying like this is a data point from the outside world, and we need them all to agree. So the way that you kind of structure that with restaking is that each of these nodes are um, your individual oracles. Each one has different stake, and you kind of do like that the stake weighted average, or if you're trying to come to consensus on a single piece of data, you need like the quorum that 2/3 threshold of your oracles, or whatever threshold you pick, in order to decide what is like base truth for a given thing. So um, this works for things like I think a natural example is like a sports betting market. You're saying like, what is the outcome of this game? You have each of your nodes say like this team won or this team won, and if all of your nodes agree, like 2/3 of them say that this team A won, then that's what it is. So you could have, a sports betting market where it's like sort of a basic DEX, people betting one side or the other, and then the oracles are coming in to say, which side won, and then you can automatically do all the payouts on chain. And yeah, I guess for building out an oracle, we have a pretty basic example of like nodes posting data and then kind of coming to consensus in our current NCN we're working on, the tip router. So I would encourage people to look at that for a basic like framework if you wanted to make a super basic oracle. But obviously oracles go like, they can be posting prices at a very high high rate. They can be doing lots of other things. So so definitely something to explore for restaking. I had put the idea out of like, what would it look like to have oracles for futarchy markets if you were to integrate directly with like the MetaDAO futarchy thing. If they're, I guess a lot of what they're working off of is just price of assets. But if you have more advanced futarchy setups, or even just more general like prediction markets, you need some way to upload what happened if people are betting on one outcome or another. And I think a generic oracle that's backed by future restaking would be super useful there.
Because I'm like a little bit on this, like Swissbot, right? Like if you compare this and Swissbot, then what is the benefit like building this other than like you use Swissbot? Is this like solution been there for a while?
Yeah. Well, Switchboard is looking at releasing or backing a lot of their systems with geo restaking. So it's like kind of proves our point there. But I think you can just build like even more flexible of systems if you're just starting from scratch. Then Switchboard already has their different types of feeds. So yeah, I think you can just, you have no limits with what you can do if you're starting from scratch here. Oh, you're muted.
Maybe I just like two short questions for each of you. Lucas first. If you are not working for Zito right now, and you have this tech and you are Earth right now, so what is the low hanging fruit that you want to build right now?
What is low hanging fruit that I would build? I think like this would be it'd be really interesting, like business push. It'd be pretty hard, but I think it's possible. I think the decentralized VPN stuff's pretty interesting. And yeah, basically you like have bunch of like people can just run exit nodes and contribute to this VPN bandwidth. And it's I think you can run the VPN code inside of a trusted execution environment. So like those provide confidentiality on data. And so basically you can like you run all the code inside of there and you open source the technology, and then you can basically guarantee that like no one is looking at your data. Like they can't unless they find a 0-day in the TE. And so it's like a very, very trusted, decentralized VPN. I think that would be pretty cool from like the tech side. It's very hard, but not impossible to get people to use it. Because yeah, I'm sure you guys see if you watch like a YouTube video, it's like NordVPN ads and stuff like that. So yeah, you need to figure out like it needs to be like a little twist on it to get people to like run it. That's not just like decentralized VPN.
Yeah, decentralized VPN. I get it. Same question for Ivan. Like, if you're not working for Jito, the second project for you. So, what you working on? Like, the things that are like obvious to you, hanging fruit thing.
Yeah. So something that would be useful for me, I know for sure, that I would pay a lot for is if there was some sort of um, service either built with Judo restaking or not that was like an API I could hit that could give me the account state for an account on Solana at any slot in history. So this is like very hard to do if you're just running it from scratch, because like we were talking about earlier, the Solana ledger size is huge. It's infeasible to have like to store every account for every single slot in history. But if you had some network of servers that could, had all of these snapshots sharded across all of these different servers, and they're getting, I'm paying for the service, the rewards are getting distributed across all of these nodes. They can opt in, like if they want to participate. I think that would be super useful for any sort of, data analyst on Solana, any sort of developer who's just trying to debug why did my application break 2 weeks ago, what version of the program was running at the time. There's like all of these different questions that are really hard to answer that if there was a service to do that, you could. So
That should be
it's like
very, very.
solve your own pain points, right? And that's a big pain point.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Like right now, I have to rent the state to store my data. If there's something like that, then I rent the state once, and then when I want to change the when I want to like store new data instead of renting new state, I just change to the same state. Oh, it should be like life saving for a lot of people like me. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I say
Totally.
that like how like two big idea for you guys. One is like VPN, another is like kind of like Yellowstone project for Solana. Like do it again, but we maybe can we do an exception? There's someone asked about like LSD token or something. Can you read it on the so let me do let me read the question. How do you think about this concept? We let users stake LSD token on our protocol. We stake them on Zito to optimize reward and tokenize future yield into tradable yield token for liquidity and DeFi use. They can trade and withdraw the combination future yield. Should be the last question before we leave the call.
You want to take that one, Evan?
Yeah, I think it sounds great. I mean, I think we're a lot of the initial collateral or deposits on Jito vaults are going to be LST tokens. So there's already like some VRTs out there that are effectively doing this. And then yeah, I think using VRTs as these kind of like Lego bricks, like new sort of like financial money bricks in DeFi, whether you're trading the yield in the future or being able to borrow against that, any like combination of that using restaked tokens, I think is really cool. So go for it.
Yeah, yeah. So the question, the answer, the short answer is go. Okay, guys, thank you very much. We like nearly in 1 hour of the call. We go through many amazing idea in here. Let me paste the list of the idea again in the chat, and you can see it on the next tweet of Super Team Vietnam and maybe Jito as well. So we have like nearly 300 people here. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Zito team. Thank you, Lucas and Ivan.
Thank you guys. This is super
Thanks.
fun.
Yeah. Thank you. And
Looking forward
everyone
to it.
remember that the deadline for us to like submit the idea for hackathon is 20th. So very soon we can have the so please submit the submission on the website. The website is jito.network/grid. So submit your idea and have the best advice from Lucas and Evan and the Jito team. Thank you very much for today.
Thanks. See ya.
See ya.
Yep.